Good morning. Welcome to Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace. Welcome to the soul of Sunday. We are Unitarian Universalists. Ours is a historic faith with a progressive theology. We affirm the worth and dignity of every being, and that we are all deeply interconnected. We are bound to one another, not by creed, but by covenant. And we are called to love with open minds, open hearts, and open hands. Whoever you are, those of all nations, all creeds, all colors, all kinds of love, you are welcome here.
Good morning. I'm Parisa Parsa, your transitional senior minister. And this morning, Reverend Beth Robbins and I are joined by the Arlington Street Choir, Yunju Young, Joe Della Penna, and our director of music, Mark David Buckles. And we have a warm welcome home to soloist Beck Zare. Our student minister, Kel Alford, is supporting the Zoom congregation, and we couldn't do any of this without our tech team, our greeters, our ushers, our worship team, coffee hour hosts, and of course, all of you. Thank you, friends. If you're new to Arlington Street, welcome. We're so glad you're here, and we would love to stay connected. I hope you'll visit our website at ascboston.org and sign up for our weekly e-newsletter. A special welcome this morning to the 4th and 5th graders from First Parish in Milton, here with their leaders, Jennifer Lofgren and Paul Casaz. One of those young people I dedicated 10 years ago. And a delighted welcome home as well to Harlow Robinson and Robert Holly, beloved members visiting from their new home in Pasadena. Welcome back, welcome home. Please be sure you've got a copy of today's order of service. It's available on the homepage at ascboston.org, and there are printed copies for you at the great doors with our ushers. On the last page of that order of service, you'll find information on upcoming Arlington Street events. There is lots going on, both in person and on Zoom, and we would love to see you this week. If you'd like to submit an announcement, please email the church office at ascboston.org by Wednesday evening so it can be included in the e-newsletter and the order of service. I want to draw your attention also to the next to the last page of your order of service, where you'll find a whole listing of all of the opportunities to be together online and in person as we await and process results of the presidential election. We'll have an election evening supper with fellowship time in person here at Arlington Street, a Vespers service on Zoom the same evening, a hybrid tea with your ministers on Wednesday, followed by an invitation to join Sanctuary Boston for their worship service, and a community care potluck on Saturday, November 9th in the Parish Hall. So a special thanks to Allie Jablonski, Rebecca Reed, and Marie O'Brien, who are working to support the congregation with all of these offerings. Would you all please stand if you're in the sanctuary, and Marie, raise your hand on Zoom so folks can know who you are. Thank you. Each Sunday, we share community candles of sorrow and joy. Those can be submitted in advance through our website. And if you came this morning with a joy or concern on your heart, you're invited to light a candle at home and share in the chat, or come up and light a silent candle right here to the side of the Gleason podium. If you brought a memento of a loved one lost and haven't had a chance to bring it forward to the table in front of the Gleason podium, I invite you to do that as well. I hope all of you in the in-person congregation will join us in the vestibule just inside the great doors for coffee and tea after the service. And those of you on Zoom are invited to join us in the chat as well, or on Zoom for fellowship as well. Those of us in person are also encouraged to steer clear of the kitchen area between the service this morning and Doc Kinney's memorial service this afternoon so that the magic can happen for the reception. Now, Keith Perrin is going to turn the camera on the in-person congregation as we wave and smile at each other, as well as at our friends in the Zoom room, and wave and smile back. Hello, friends. Let's all continue to engage in this warm Arlington Street spirit of welcome that transcends physical distance as we greet one another heart to heart. Whether you've been coming here for years or today is your first time at Arlington Street, welcome home.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to start out with a song here, Farthest Field, and it's going to be a communal song, so let me teach you the chorus really quick. Can I get C major? Or yeah, F is probably better here. So the chorus goes, walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. Let's try that, walk with me, and walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. When one day we wend our way up to the farthest field. Try that, when one day. When one day we wend our way up to the farthest field. And the verses have a little call and response for the first parts of them. So I'll sing, there is a land, and you can respond, there is a land. I'll try it one more time. There is a land.
There is a land.
High on a hill.
High on a hill.
Great, and the next lines are together. Where we are going, there is a voice that calls to me. You can sing that together once we get it, and then there's a little more call and response. That's enough teaching. I invite us to rise in body, rise in spirit, and let's sing together, Farthest Field. Feel free to add some harmonies as we go. Here's the beginning. There is a land, high on a hill, where I am going. There is a voice that calls to me. The air is sweet. The grasses wave. The wind is blowing away up in the farthest field. Oh, chorus. Walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. When one day we wend our way up to the farthest field, the sun will rise. The sun will set across the mountains, and we will live in beauty there. The fragrant flowers, the days and hours will not be counted, and peace-filled songs will fill the air. Oh, walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. When one day we wend our way up to the farthest field, I know one day I'll leave my home here in this valley and climb up to that field so fair. And when I called and counted in that final tally, I know that I will see you there. Oh, walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. When one day we wend our way up to the farthest field. Oh, my dear friends, I truly love to hear your voices lifted up in radiant song. And through the years, we all have made our separate choices. We've ended here where we belong. Oh, walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. When one day we wend our way up to the farthest field. One more time. Walk with me and we will see the mystery revealed. When one day we wend our way up to the farthest field.
Our opening words this morning are from activist and poet Maya Angelou, and were written upon the death of her friend and fellow writer, James Baldwin. When great trees fall, rocks on distant hills shudder, lions hunker down in tall grasses, and even elephants lumber after safety. When great trees fall in forests, small things recoil into silence, their senses eroded beyond fear. When great souls die, the air around us becomes light, rare, sterile. We breathe briefly. Our eyes briefly see with a hurtful clarity. Our memory, suddenly sharpened, examines, gnaws on words unsaid, promised walks never taken. Great souls die, and our reality, bound to them, takes leave of us. Our souls, dependent upon their nurture, now shrink, wizened. Our minds, formed and informed by their radiance, fall away. We are not so much maddened as reduced to the unutterable ignorance of dark, cold caves. And when great souls die, after a period, peace blooms, slowly and always irregularly. Spaces fill with a kind of soothing electric vibration. Our senses restored, never to be the same, whisper to us. They existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed. We light our chalice this morning in honor of all the great trees who existed, made our being possible, and are with us still.
Our opening hymn this morning is For All the Saints, number 103 in your gray hymnal, and the words are also pasted in the chat for the Zoomers. Please rise in body, rise in spirit, and join in singing For All the Saints as we begin our Remembrance Sunday. It is now time for our treasured ritual of sharing community candles of sorrow and joy. In addition to sharing our sorrows and joys this morning, let's reach out to one another in the week ahead, staying connected. May these times remind us of how very precious this beloved community is. We need one another. Whether together or apart, may we stay very close. Let's join in singing Sanctuary. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat.
Thanksgiving, I'll be
Some of us come today with heavy hearts. We open our hearts to you.
Dan Simpson shares a candle of sorrow for his brother Al. Dan writes, "We've been close since youth, sleeping in the same bed, listening to St. Louis Cardinals baseball games. In college and after, I've stayed with him in different places he was living: Oregon, Michigan, Frankfurt, London. Later, he and his kids would travel from Australia, where they live, to see my family and kids. Now he's had Parkinson's disease for 5 years or more, and it's progressed to dementia. In the last few weeks, he's reached end stage where he's not able to talk or respond any longer. Al, I love you and miss you." A mixed candle of joy and sorrow from Queen Cheryl. October 28th is the day of Reverend Kim's perfect trifecta: her birthday, the 40th anniversary of her ordination, and the 35th anniversary of her installation here at Arlington Street Church. Last October, we anticipated the day would be a party, never dreaming it would become a candle read from the pulpit. While we miss her, may Reverend Kim know that wherever you may be on this part of life's new journey, we hold you dearly. We carry your heart. We carry it in our hearts. A very happy birthday, and we love you. A final candle of sorrow for those affected by violence here and around the world. With news of escalating bombing across the Middle East and a continuation of the wars in Sudan and Ukraine, we hold in our hearts all those whose lives are irrevocably torn apart. May those in power yield to the cries of human life and dignity and find peaceful solutions for the good of all.
Some of us come today in joy. We share your joy.
I share a personal candle of joy this morning for the celebration of being ordained 26 years ago by 20-member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministry, including Arlington Street Church. And for this odd and wondrous calling that has brought me here to serve this congregation at this time. You all are a blessing. And a final candle of joy for all of the hardworking volunteers making calls and visits to get out the vote, arranging rides, and making our democracy accessible to all, including Reverend Fred Small, who's spending this month in Pennsylvania, and Laura Pattinson, who just returned from North Carolina. May all the hearts and hands at work to strengthen our democracy be blessed.
the sorrows and all the joys we hold in our hearts, we light a silent candle to remember and to rejoice. May the peace of this sanctuary enter into our hearts as we share a quiet moment together, breathing our prayers for ourselves, for one another, for our country, for all nations, and for all beings. Amen.
Please join in saying the affirmation and covenant of this beloved spiritual community. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak our truths in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de nuestra congregación, y el servicio es nuestro regalo. Esto es a lo que nos comprometemos, convivir en paz, hablar nuestras verdades con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
Our next hymn is I Cannot Think of Them as Dead, which we will sing to the tune of number 10, Immortal Love. Please rise in body, rise in spirit, and join in singing I Cannot Think of Them as Dead, following the words in your order of service and in the chat.
Our reading this morning comes from the poet Lucille Clifton. O antic God, return to me, my mother in her 30s, leaned across the front porch, the huge pillow of her breasts pressed against the rail, summoning me in for bed. I am almost the dead woman's age times 2. I can barely recall her song, the scent of her hands, though her wild hair scratches my dreams at night. Return to me, O Lord of then and now, my mother's calling, her young voice humming my name. We sang our opening hymn for all the saints who from their labors rest, and most of us will admit, though we may not believe in saints exactly, we do aspire to the accomplishments of our ancestors from long ago or very near. We pray for our hearts to be brave as theirs, our arms as strong. We wonder at how they made it through the trials of their lives as we face our own, which are often easier thanks to their efforts. Return to me, O Lord of then and now, my mother's calling, her young voice humming my name. Who do you hear calling? The Yoruba proverb says, if we stand tall, it is because we stand on the shoulders of our ancestors. And in that spirit today, whether we lost our forebears long ago or just this year, we name and honor them. Across cultures, this time of year is acknowledged as a special time when the shield between the worlds is lowered and new and magical things can happen. Scary things and also redemptive things. The Celtic people believed that the year was divided into 2 halves, the light half and the dark half. And the light half of the year was about reaching out, about growing and enjoying the fruits of the earth, with the dark half an invitation to turn inward, along with the plants to retract a little bit into our roots and take care of what's inside the house, inside the spirit, inside the body. At the moment that the light turned to dark, it was believed that the veil between those worlds was lifted completely, that all the spirits of the dead came to wander the earth. That light half of the year ended October 31st with the Festival of Samhain, which literally meant summer's end, and the last harvest festival of the year, which took place just as the hungry and restless spirits came out to look for some nourishment and frolic with their descendants. Now, it's widely believed that as Catholicism took hold of the Western world, there was a need to sort of rebrand existing spiritual holidays with a new theology. Celebrations of All Saints and All Souls Days marked our continued relationship with the dead, this time dividing them according to virtue, with the saints being those who died in the cause of the service to God, and the ordinary folks celebrated the following day, getting the sloppy seconds of blessings. And all that was well. Eventually, the vestiges of Samhain spilled into the celebration of All Saints and All Souls, and Protestantism then revised the whole thing to reject the idea of saints, at least in the Catholic sense, and celebrated the dead all on the same day, November 1st. Later, in the last century, thanks to the work in part of Father Gustavo Gutierrez, who passed this week, the Peruvian liberation theology took hold in Latin American Catholicism, calling on the martyrs to causes of justice to do their work for liberating their people. And those martyrs' cries became a rallying cry as people organized for liberation. Presente is called when invoking the names of those who followed Jesus' example of fighting injustice and who paid the ultimate price. They are present because they have joined the ranks of the immortal. In many cultures in Africa, including the Fawn people to whom Lucille Clifton traced her ancestry, everyone was in constant contact with those who had gone before. Ancestors from long ago or from their own lifetimes who could offer advice and counsel, who could grant blessings, and who also could cause trouble if they were crossed. In very different ways, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean cultures do the same. Hungry ghosts need to be appeased until they're ready to move into a permanent realm of the dead. Ancestors with whom we keep contact and good relationship can be our ultimate guides. That is a common belief. Now that Halloween is mostly a secular holiday for us in North America, we celebrate all that is spooky and silly. We watch little ninjas and princesses and pop stars and sports heroes wander around our neighborhoods. And adults shopping for their own Halloween costumes get to learn the improbable professions that suddenly can be branded as sexy. Those of us of strong constitutions watch the latest horror movies featuring paranormal creatures or the visitation of the avenging dead, and it's all good fun. Maybe it isn't and it shouldn't be all that deep. But here we are in this storied church, infused with memories and hopes of ancestors, about to honor those we've lost. And that, my friends, is deep. What do we make of it all? We Unitarian Universalists who love science and the rational can feel a little at sea in all the supernatural beliefs about ghosts and spirits and whether we should consider it a blessing or a curse to be haunted by them. It isn't generally respectable to take the idea of ghosts or the presence of the dead among us seriously, so we've made it into a frivolity, a spiritual side hustle. We're mostly not celebrating capital M martyrs or capital S saints, and at the same time, we yearn for continued conversation with those we've lost. The spiritual truth, my friends, is that anyone who has lost a loved one is likely to tell you the relationship with them does not end with death. They are with us still. When we're in the throes of grief, the separation between the worlds of the living and the dead disappears for a time. The person who was just in the world a moments or days or weeks before has been taken to another place, but the rest of the landscape stays the same. Joan Didion describes how, returning home from the hospital after her husband died, she went about taking care of arrangements, tidying the house, all with the thought that he would see this, the fruits of her efforts, that she had things under control. She would go in and out of that thinking until the reality of it all set in. I need to discuss this with John, was her first thought when posed with any new questions about what to do, until she realized he was no longer there to discuss. The rest of the world kept moving at its normal pace, but the land of grief and loss takes time to catch up. Nothing makes sense. The familiar landscape of how we normally lived our lives is all thrown into question. Grief turns out to be a place none of us know until we reach it, writes Didion. It's in that time, in that deep and real time of loss, that the full range of emotions appears, and we're offered, painfully but very clearly, the chance to consider anew our own lives and their meanings. The process takes a long time. Some would say it never ends. And as time goes on, we incorporate the loss into our lives in one way or another, and we take up life again, thinking perhaps less and less often about the time of deep connection with our loved ones in life, and thinking as little as possible, quite intentionally, about the pain of that time of loss itself. then our loved ones become part of us in a new way as the grief goes on. The dead move through all of us, still glowing. We who find shelter in the warmth within listen and find ourselves new cherished, new forgiven, writes May Sarton. When we raise to our awareness the ways that those who have passed before move through us, we have another opportunity to work through not just our own loss, but our connection with all that was their lives and their legacy to us. Not just hearts and flowers and sentimentally positive stuff, but the hard stuff as well. The need for forgiveness, the love lost, the moments of anger and bitterness. In all of them, we can find ourselves new cherished, new forgiven. Lucille Clifton heard or yearned to hear her mother again in this morning's poem. And now at least one of Lucille's 6 children hears her. Lucille's daughter Sydney writes, "Mommy is rocking me back to sleep after a bad dream. She's silhouetted against the night light and her voice is honey, but I know she's tired. I'm 5 or 6 and she has 5 or 6 children. I remember her laugh, her calling our names, her fear, her wicked humor, her cute and devilish smile, her sorrow, her admonition, now city. Remember her growing stronger in her written voice, more and more writing, her Black woman confidence louder and resonant, her rising and shining from Fred and Lou, her husband and she, to Lucille Clifton and a million other things. But always what remains consistent and crystal clear is her voice. Mom's literal and figurative voice has always been the hand at my back. Who do you hear calling? Whose presence comes to you in dreams, reminds you of a piece of who you are, offers some of the sand whose friction you're working to shape into a gemstone? Who do you hear calling? The task of religion, says Reverend Dr. Forrest Church, is reconciling the fact that we have lives in which we make meaning and that we die. So when we join together in honoring our dead, we meet each other in the zero ground of mystery, of miracle, of possibility. In the words of Dr. Church, we cannot protect ourselves from loss. We can only protect ourselves from the death of love. Without love, nothing matters. Break your life into a million pieces and ask yourself what of real value will go on. The pieces that remain will bear love's signature. The most eloquent answer to death's no is love's yes. In one of the rituals of Samhain, each household would put out the light of their individual hearths and carry the flame to a bonfire they held in the center of the community. They would leave a single candle burning outside on their doorstep in a hollowed out turnip just outside their doors so they could find their way home. In North America, the turnips became pumpkins, which were much more plentiful. And so we have our jack-o'-lanterns to help us find our way home. When we lift up the names of our loved ones together, we light a common fire with our remembrance, with our grief, and most of all, with our love. We see each other more fully through the lens of what we've lost. Our compassion for one another finds new dimension. As we face our own grief and loss, we lift up the extraordinary nature of the love we grieve. To let love's light, as it was known in our loved ones, continue to shine through their memory and in our hearts, through their works that continue, through the love that we learned from them, the love that animates us, gives us hope, and sustains the universe. Eternal love remains. We celebrate that great arc of life and what we've learned from the very particular people who've shaped our loving and given us life. Let the wall between the world of the living and the dead move aside in these days so we can honor the fact that there is indeed no separation. All life is one. All is wrapped up in becoming. We are all finding our way home with the light we have. Amen.
So beautiful. Thank you, Mark David. Thank you, choir. Friends, Arlington Street is entirely self-sustaining. It's up to us. And our generosity continues to be astounding. Thank you for your commitment to our staff, to our building, and to our beloved spiritual community. Each Sunday, we share our collection plate with a partner in our mission of love, service, justice, and peace. This week's collection will be shared with Beit El Barka, a Lebanese-based organization committed to transforming their country to be a place where all people can live with a sense of dignity and value through access to education, medical services, food, and financial security. This summer, I did the memorial service for my friend Frank Warshek, who died much too young of pancreatic cancer. Frank wasn't a religious person, and his wife Rebecca and their 2 daughters initially struggled with the idea of creating a church service to honor his life. But because I'm a Unitarian Universalist, and because my ministry has been irrevocably shaped by Arlington Street, I could meet them right where they were. Everyone who knew Frank knew that more than anything, he loved being a dad. For Clemmy and Tilly's birthdays, he delighted in making spectacular cakes, elaborately decorated with themes that evolved as the girls grew, from Elmo to Frozen to Hamilton. So it felt right to close his memorial service with a ritual of cake decorating. We made an altar with an enormous white sheet cake and invited each person to come forward and add their love and their blessings with a dab of icing. I am so grateful to be part of a church that celebrates quirkiness, embraces irreverence, makes the ordinary sacred, holds love as our highest value, and equips each of us to carry that spirit out to bless the world. Thank you for being my beloved spiritual community. Please take a moment now to join me in giving to sustain our eccentric, extraordinary Arlington Street Church. You can give online at ascboston.org or find instructions in the order of service for giving via QR code, Venmo, or text message. You can also mail a check to the church or use the envelopes in the pews, which can be given to the ushers as they come through momentarily with collection plates. Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you, Joe. We now join in shared remembrance of all those who live in us in memory, who occupy this room with their place in our hearts. As this time of year when the veil between the worlds is thin, we offer the simple act of speaking their names or typing them in the chat, the prayer that we may know more deeply that great mystery at the heart of all being, that we might share the spirits of our loved ones with the community gathered here. Let us feel the love that has moved through these walls in the presence of our ancestors in faith. Let us pay homage to the care and attention that brought each of us to birth, moved us through our lives, and brought us into community in this congregation. Let us praise the mystery and miracle of life and draw our very particular and very precious cloud of witnesses close. I invite you, as we make the invitation, when you're ready, to speak aloud the name of those beloved you're remembering today, listening also for the names shared by others. If you're torn about whether to share a name in one category or another, feel free to say it twice. After each group of names, we'll sing together, "Be with us." Let's try that out. Mark David, could you lead us?
Be with us. Let's try that together. Be with us.
We call forth those we have lost who were part of nurturing, inspiring, and mentoring us, whose memory is a blessing.
Be with us. Be with us.
We call forth those whose roles in our lives were complicated, whose impact on us has been deep, and whose memory might bring some heartache.
Be with us. Be with us.
We call forth the non-human beings who have comforted, challenged, and companioned us, whose memory brings joy.
Be with us. Be with us.
We call forth those who have stood up against injustice, who have given their lives for the sake of peace and righteousness, whose memory challenges us to action.
be with us. Be with us.
We call forth the ancestors within this congregation, by whose grace and dedication we have the blessing to be gathered, whose memory guides our way.
Be with us. Be with us.
May light perpetual shine upon each soul named, so that the light of their highest hopes and greatest virtues shining through us will be our blessing to the world. Amen.
As we feel the air thick with the presence, memory, and hope of those we have lost, let us rise in body, rise in spirit, and follow the choir's lead as we sing breaths, following along with the words in your order of service and in the chat.
Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in this crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more
As we move into our time of benediction, I invite those of you in the Zoom room to please reach out your hands and touch the sides of your square, connecting you each with the other. And those of you in the sanctuary, please raise your hands, palms out. And let's send loving kindness to the people on our right and on our left and the people on the other side of them, on and on, stretching out of this sanctuary into the city, around the world. Send out love that comes from this beloved spiritual community, and then feel it coming back to you as you bring your hands to heart center. Carry the love that is the spirit of this congregation with you wherever you go. Go forth in the name of the ancestors named and unnamed this morning, to embrace life, to listen closely for the sounds of the ancestors, to drink of life more deeply. The service begins when the service ends, my friends. Let your service begin. Amen.
Please visit ascboston.org for more information about this historic Unitarian Universalist congregation. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.